Hello guys, today I'm going to talk to you about a number of things that you should always do when you reinstall Poser or the first time you install Poser. And the good news is that even if you didn't do them straight away, you can do them later on. So the first thing that you need to do is install any script programs that you have that you like to run to make your user interface or your posing experience better. So for example here, I have a bunch of stuff by Ken 1171, which I installed by installing from Script Archive. So I go here, I do IK Manager, that's snapped over here. I do light dots. Now they're the two things, see they've snapped to a default position here. They're the two things that I like to have running all the time. Light dots basically adds more quick dots to change lighting setups, but the main thing it does that I like is that it enables you to rename your shadow light cams, your cameras, to the names that you gave your lights. So for example, you could have a light called face light, and now the camera for that light will also be named face camera. So these have snapped into position here, but supposing I didn't want those to be there, so in actual fact I do always put that there, but supposing I want my light dots over there, then I just move that where I want it, change all of these panels how I want, so I can change the ratio of the panels here. You're probably going to want this one to be a little bit bigger than the default because there's often more complicated figures. You'll have a lot more information here that you need to be able to see. So don't just leave it on a narrow default like that. I tend to go a little bit wider. The content library kind of sucks on a single screen. I tend to have mine on a dual monitor or ultra wide screen, but just arrange this how you want. And many of you will also want to go down to here and change the settings so that these little panels here open up and preview how you want them to preview. And there's several screens here of things that you can edit to your personal preferences. Okay, so once you've done that, what you've done is you've configured the screen layout. Now you want to go into this window here, this kind of drop down area, and set the common dimensions that you render to. So here, for example, I often render to 4K. So I've set that to 3840 by 2160. If by default your setting is something weirder like, I don't know, 1080 by 400, weird ratio. And this constraint aspect ratio is on. So when I try and go 3840, you'll see this goes to a weird ratio here. Just turn this off, and now I can do whatever settings I want, and then I do OK there. The other thing that you should do is go into render settings and whatever settings you like. So by default, this loads with CPU optics fast, which has progressive and pixel samples. So progressive is on and pixel samples is 10. I like to have a super fast optics renderer, so I change that to 5, change that, turn progressive off and just do save settings. And now there's two important things that we're going to need to do. First of all, we're going to go up to edit. Oh, sorry, one more thing. By default, your scene will probably load with a figure and the construct in the background. Now, for super speed, I like to have at least the figure deleted. I've saved this inadvertently with the construct missing as well, which I should bring back in because it gives me a floor to work off for shadows and stuff. But it doesn't matter for now. And then what you do is you go up to edit and then do general preferences, and you can do launch to preferred scene. So that will not only change this scene, but in conjunction with which one is it? Interface set launch to preferred. That will then retain those render settings, it will retain the render dimensions, and it will retain the screen layout. Now, that's stage one, but here's the thing that I think everybody should do. These are the quick buttons down here, pose, camera, and user interface. And user interface is the one that I use all the time. You can see I've got 7 buttons selected here. So if I just click here, it remembers the layout of every single window, every single panel. So this is my recording layout. One slightly annoying thing if you're recording, it always jumps away from the edge here. It doesn't remember this position here. It's some annoyance in Pose. I don't know why it does it. But now if I click this button, see, it will jump back to exactly how it was. Now I've got 3 full screen layouts here. This one has a content library open. You can't see a lot of it now. The second one, which I'm clicking now, has a hierarchy window open, and the third one has an animation window open. Because it's designed for a much bigger monitor, you can't see those happening. So here's the second row. The second row is my recording layout because I record in OBS on a capture of just part of the screen. So this one is my content library. The content library is off on the other screen. Sometimes I have a content library on another monitor, but this only has 9 buttons. I wish that this was bigger, like this light dots. Then I have my hierarchy window. So hierarchy is the window that you're going to want when you want to navigate complicated scenes here. And see, I've just moved that, and I moved that on the screen here, then I move it back off the screen, and it's not exactly where it was before, but I might have a layout that I precisely wanted those positions. So I just click my save, and it takes me back to that save. Likewise here, I might have resized this in some way for some reason, but it's easy to return to where I was. Just click that user interface button. And again, my third one has an animation button off the screen. And my third one in the second row. And my first in the third row, or the 7th button, is my recording window with content. Now, I tend not to use this one except when I'm demonstrating stuff to you because it's too small to see anything going on. But anyway, guys, I hope you find that useful. Couple more things that you're just going to want to just do is in your preferences, you're going to want to make sure that autosave is enabled. Now, if you have a HDD as opposed an old mechanical hard disk drive, so relatively slow, you may not want to have this turned on. But if you have an SSD or an NVMe, you should definitely turn this on. I think the defaults work fine. I have that to 0 seconds before saving, but it doesn't matter. And this works in conjunction with the miscellaneous menu here, file compression. Make sure that's turned off. I can't remember. I think they actually have that turned off by default now, but if it isn't, make sure it's turned off. And the other thing is turn off external binary morph targets. This works with figures and stuff like that have morphs, like supposing you could have a face morph or breast morph or something like that. And when Poser saves with this turned on, it saves them as a separate file. And what that means, it's very easy to start losing parts of your files, like the same thing happens with a hair room and a cloth room. I prefer if they're all saved as part of a single file, personally. And there you go. One more thing, I guess you could change your temp files to a fast hard drive if you've got one. That's up to you. Hopefully you found all of that useful, guys, and Happy New Year.